Hi guys, I'm Danny, and I started a Sunday gym because I've noticed lately that people tend to go to colleges and universities without actually knowing why they're there. And afterwards, starting jobs that are unfulfilling. So I'm interviewing different professionals to see what they have to say and share their knowledge and experience with you. I hope you enjoy it. Right on, Felicity. Thanks for being with me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. You have a lot to talk about. The
I
program
do.
will be focused on three main questions. What do you do for a living? How did you get there? And how did you knew that this was the way to go? So that's what you do for a living, huh?
Yes. So I am a published author and speaker, and I got there through my backstory.
Yeah, but I assume you weren't just walking the street one day and you were like, let me be a published author.
No, I wasn't. I started writing my book in 2013, my first one after my mom died. My parents died about 3 months apart from each other. And so I knew that there was a story in there. I'm a childhood trauma DV survivor, so just grew up in a really dysfunctional family. Managed to do the work, the healing work, move past that, etc. But I'm one of those that's like, I think I'm just going to do this now. And I just decided to do that. And when COVID came, I queried my book. And I heard back from somebody in New York saying memoirs are hard to sell. Nobody has a clue who you are. We're not saying no, but, and I took that as a yes. That's a challenge. I like to challenge. It's like, somebody tells me no, give me just a few months. I'll prove you wrong.
Pretty good.
And I know that's it. I've got a second one coming out this year, and now I'm starting to hit the speaking arena. I'm practicing my speeches.
That's a bit of a side thing because I've interviewed a few authors. I love talking to authors, to art people in general. You know, I'm putting others in art as well because it is.
It is.
And there's a second segment that I've recently started on the show. It's about the book writing process. You know, let's see how it goes. If you're into, I can send you the questions that I'm asking about the book writing process. Maybe you can add or remove something. Maybe we should do part two.
Absolutely. Yes, it's fun. I like to just go with the flow.
I never do that. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I'm that kind of a person. I guess that's why I love people like you so much because I'm the
Yeah.
total opposite. Like if
Yes.
something is not directly in front of my face and it's not jiggling my nose, I am not even going to acknowledge it as a reality. I'm just that kind of guy.
Interesting. This is a whole topic of a completely different conversation.
I know. It's
I know. Yes, but for maybe it's because, men are designed different than women.
yeah,
And as a
oh yeah.
feminine, and when we are in our true feminine essence, we are in flow state. We sit back and receive. So yes, it's different, but that's kind of the energy that I've been in, and I love it because things are just kind of falling in my lap. I've decided to start writing the third book. Just love it.
It's pretty solid. Th this is again why I love talking to people like you because to be a writer, you have to have a very well structured mind. You have to know why the heck are you even writing, and it highlights a certain level of intelligence. And this is why I'm actually asking the third question like that because if you have that level of intelligence, and you obviously do, you have good communication skills, you're charming, you're charismatic, so you could have, done any number of things, but you decided to go with writing. Why? I mean, was
It's
that a gut feeling? I understand, I just think about it and I'm doing, but one sees what one observes and one observes what's already in the mind. So you already had that in your mind, but what was the thing that pushed you in that direction?
Writing for me is cathartic. When you're going through the healing process, especially all the work I had to do on myself to get to where I'm at, It's therapy for the soul. So it's almost like a brain dump on paper. My first couple drafts will just look like that, and then it starts to take form as I start moving and shifting things. It's all about, so for me, I take my lessons that I've learned, whether it's in life, relationships, career, and then I just kind of let it on, I put it on paper because I know it will be used, whether it's in a speech. It's going to be medicine for somebody's soul, is basically the way I look at it. And that's why I love writing so much, is because I prefer to be the wisdom teacher, because that's what I've gained throughout my journey is so much wisdom. And that's what I put on my paper. That's what's in the books, is just wisdom.
That's pretty good. Side question here. How do you know when to stop? When to stop writing when it's done? The reason I'm asking is because I love The Lord of the Rings, the movies, the Hobbit movies, not so much, and I don't hate myself enough to watch that Amazon thing, so I didn't. I love the games, I love the whole point, but I cannot bring myself to read the book because this is insane. If you tell me that you went to the forest with your husband or significant other for a picnic this weekend, I can, picture it. I don't
Mhm.
need 20 pages just to explain what a forest is. I'm not an outdoors guy, but come on. There are books here that they're like a bit of a reminder for me.
Yeah.
I love Tolstoy and I love the literature from that period, Solzhenitsyn as well. Now, he writes about an imperial Russian officer, before the revolution, before communism. So basically, those guys had, white jackets, black pants, and a yellow stripe at every side of the pants. And that's about it. And he needs like 10 pages to describe him. This is ridiculous. It's like I just had to go through the pages to see what happens next. And how do you know when to stop? And, how do you know when it's not annoying?
Oh, I love that question. Thank you. I will say that it's going to be annoying for somebody, right? Somebody's going to be a critic. We have to learn to have tough skin when we are in the media, right? The media world. I like to think once I have haters, I've made it, right? Not everybody's going to like my approach to life, my approach to
Hate
as
the guy. I just don't like the
yeah,
structuring the books. That's what
yeah,
I meant. Like it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
personal.
Yes. For me, I think you just know when it should be done. And that's what editors are for. When you start spiraling, they my editor's great. She'll just know. She'll ring me back in and just say, we're just going to omit this. You've spiraled out of what your context was supposed to be about." And you should give your brain a break. But also too, if something sparks your interest and you need to write that down and start maybe another book. Like I've already started writing another book. I didn't think I wanted to, but Spirit's like pouring it out on paper. I'm like, okay, I'll trust you. I just go with the flow. But I do get what you're saying
Yeah.
with the in-depth descriptions. It's a little, it's a little much, but those are, that's like literature. I mean, you're talking some deep literature.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's almost philosophy, in my opinion. At borderline,
Yeah.
yes.
Solzhenitsyn is not philosophy. Tolstoy probably is, but Solzhenitsyn is an observer. That's why I like
Okay.
it. He's observing basic behavior. Like even now, those things are applicable. So yeah, but yeah, no, definitely. I'm not sure if this is a good example, but the reason I'm asking that question is I don't know if you read that when you were a kid, Treasure Island.
It did not, no.
It starts how Captain Billy Bones was such a big man, like a mountain of a man. He was huge. You know those old pirate chests? He was so big, he was just carrying it on one arm. Mountain of a man. He goes into a pub and he doesn't feel well at all. another pirate comes over there to, to trouble him in some way. His name was, I think, Black Dog was the other pirate's name. Captain Bones threw the whole table, the chairs and everything, pulled a sword, and Black Dog started running. And Captain Bones was about to slice him in two, but because he was so big, he hit the sign of the pub where he was in, and his sword stuck in there. I'm not even doing it justice explaining this, but it was described in a few sentences, but it was so well described that sometimes, even now, when I see a sign, first thing comes to me was the sword of Captain Billy Bones. And I
I love
read it
it.
almost 30 years ago. So
Yeah, I
that's the
love it.
reason why I was asking, when do you know enough is enough?
Yeah, I guess you could just say some of us are more long-winded than others. Obviously, that 10 words was enough to give you such a vivid description, let's just say, of the moment, whereas the other one needed a couple more pages.
Dude, the other one needed a couple of more books.
I love it. So I actually have never seen or read Lord of the Rings. I haven't.
Have
And
you
I and
seen the
I'm a
movie?
no, I haven't. I'm a philosophy freak. I love Plato, Stoicism, just all that. We talked about this before we got on, the Roman Empire and stuff like that. But just when it comes to Lord of the Rings, I have not. I haven't read Harry Potter either. That yes. I probably should. Yeah, there you go. There you go. She's genius.
I Honestly, I've read the Harry Potter books and I didn't really like them. I like the movies. I don't know why I didn't. Like, I don't like Mark Twain. The way I love his notes. I've read them because they're very accurate, but I just don't like the style. And it's not a hater thing. It's just not for me.
It's a period piece. Mark Twain is beautiful. It's like a period piece. That's it. That's all.
I
It's just,
know.
yeah, it's culture back then. It's a period piece. Uh, I could go on about that. I still have my original Mark Twain book from eighth grade.
Oh, I have some here too. I
Yeah.
have another side question about again the writing. Are you doing some research when you're writing it in that way to see about your target group, who you're going to target, or did you just lay it down and it will find the right people on its own?
That's a good question. Thank you. So for the first one, my memoir, I just had to spill. And I know it's going to find the right person. I call it medicine for the soul. It's going to be medicine for somebody. The second one is a little more niche down. It's about forgiveness, the higher consciousness approach to forgiveness, which will be released later this year. It's a quick airplane read. It's going to be niched down to maybe somebody that's struggling or holding on to some regret or some pain from a past person. But I don't typically. I really just think it's going to fall into the right hands. Somebody that needs it.
Sometimes, no, oftentimes that's exactly how it happens.
Hmm.
I don't want to go into religion and stuff, but that's kind of why it's called revelation when you have to do something and it kind of reveals to you because you always had that intelligence that you have and charm and everything, but you decided to start writing when it was the right time to start writing.
Hmm.
Uh, Clearly you have the skills, but I believe that you probably wouldn't be as successful as you are now if you weren't ready to do it. Yeah, sure, you can
Abs
put the words down there, but it's not going to be the same.
Absolutely. I believe I speak God. So I believe God gives us paths, right? We know that we have free will.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I believe that I had two paths, let's just say. I could stay with my ex-husband, which was a DV situation, or I could do path B, which was let's grab my child and start over with $47 and have complete and utter blind faith and trusting and where and what he's going to build me into.
Yeah, no, I had this tremendous guy. I found him on LinkedIn purely by chance. And we had a talk about Christianity here on this network. He said something interesting. He said, Danny, I don't have enough what was it, enough faith to be an atheist. It's much easier to know that there's a higher power and that it's already the road's already established. Because being an atheist is a very scary thing. I mean, it's a bit easier now to be an atheist, especially if you're in a kind of country that things are pretty well. But there are no atheists in the trenches. That much I can tell.
I was just gonna say that. Yes, when it comes down to it, when it comes down to it, yes, completely agree. And
Yeah.
I don't push it with my clients.
Oh yeah.
A- I don't because as a healer, I just want them to have a foundation of spirituality. Believe in something higher than yourself.
So I know people that are like that. My career started in the government, so I know all kind of monsters and crazies. And I know people that don't have that. They don't believe in something higher than themselves. I think I can consider myself a well-traveled man. I've been here and there. I'm talking to a lot of people on a daily basis. I guarantee you that those people are easily the most miserable people I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm not trash talking them. I'm just highlighting it. That's a fact. When you said $47, your kid, that was it. Yeah, but you were able to smile every now and then, right? Because
Mhm.
you kind of had that happiness in you. Well, those people, they're like really rich. I'm not talking about only in Europe, I'm talking about Asia, Europe, everywhere. They're like doing ridiculously well in life. Those are very, very miserable people. Like I don't, and I'm far from the idea that money is the root of all evil. No, it's not. I mean, I'm doing well too. But those specific people that it's a nasty way of living. When you acknowledge that there's a higher power, something bigger than you, it kind of like, robbing something heavy from your shoulders. You kind of no longer have to carry that baggage.
Absolutely. And I want to piggyback off of what you just said because am writing this currently. I just got divorced again for the second time. Yeah. Yeah. And I talk about I literally had everything that you could imagine. I had the house, the car, the jewelry, the clothes, whatever I wanted. But at the core, I was empty and miserable.
Yeah.
Yes, and the reason why was I wasn't being fed the right way. Yeah. And I turned to God a lot, and we had a lot of discussions. And eventually he just kicked me out of the nest. He's like, your time here has expired. And he pulled the rug out from underneath me. And I speak that this wasn't about divorce. This was about truly surrendering into his will. And I also learned throughout this process, because I had to do some really, really big leaps and jumps, completely unknown of what was going to happen. Our earthly bodies were meant to suffer here. That's just the way it is. But if we can find, like you stated earlier, those moments of peace and joy during the suffering, that's the priceless moment. That's the pie, that's the cake. We don't have to become our suffering. Yes, a lot of people have the tendency to become the suffering. It's like, no, you don't have to.
Yeah, that's why you
It's
have to be in the world, but not of it.
yes,
That's the point.
yes, yeah.
I interviewed a guy, I think he was from Toronto, but now he lives in California. I think, I'm not sure, because it was a few years ago. He's doing like tremendously well. He actually told me that story where you were like sleeping for 8 hours, but once every 2 days. So he was pretty much working 40 hours and sleep. And when he had a heart attack, he said it was pretty good. I'm like, what do you mean it's pretty good to have a heart attack? This is even fun. Yeah, but I had some amazing sleep. Like, man, you have a mansion, you have 10 houses, and you have to go to a hospital to get a good night's sleep. This is easily the most pathetic thing I've ever heard so far. It's ridiculous. So yeah, if you don't have this internal peace, you're not going to be able to push forward. I for example, have a iron steel rule. 9 days in July and 9 days in August. I'm going to the coastal line here. There's a nice hotel. I'm going there every year. Same hotel, same room. 9 years, no shoes, no shirt, no socks. That's it. And
Right.
it's perfect. Oh, I'm coming back home like I'm born again. It's amazing.
Mhm.
You have to have that peace.
You do. And those are the people that I work with. So that's my clientele because the picture you just painted for me, that first of all is gluttony and greed. Let's
But
just call spade a spade. I mean,
I
let's
don't think
some
it's always gluttony. I think you know what, most of the time, I don't think it's gluttony at all. I think they just have this false sense of ambition and they're
it's
just
ego.
chasing a goal to fulfill an ego. So I think it's
It
more of an
is.
ego thing and not that much about gluttony. Because, after the first million, you kind of already have it. But I think it's more of an ego. I don't think it's that much of a gluttony.
Yeah, so it is ego driven. I will agree with you on that. And they need the mirror. They need that mirror shined to them to really look in their soul and to figure out how they've been operating in their world. And besides all the materialistic things that are around them, at the core, there's something that's missing. And with peace, there usually, like we said earlier, there's a lack of a spiritual foundation.
Yeah. It's, you know what? How do you get your peace? From where you told me about God and religion, but how did you figure out to go that way?
To find my peace,
Yeah.
when I chose myself, when I finally chose myself at 47, she finally chose herself. And I'm going to show you, I know your audience won't be able to see, but this is my piece.
Looks pretty good.
Yes, birds, animals, it's just that brings me joy. That brings me peace. And so if I date, when I decide to, the competition is peace. Yeah.
No, I mean, obviously it's pointless to date someone if it doesn't bring you peace. We are fighting deranged battles, very difficult sometimes every day. Yeah, some days are more peaceful than other, granted, but
Hmm. Hmm.
it's a struggle every day, regardless where you are, what you do for a living. It is
Hmm.
a struggle, and the whole point of having a home is to have a place, to be sheltered from that craziness and that storm out there. Well, if you have a monster in the home that's torturing you or you him, then what's the point? You know,
Yes.
that's why I'm saying I'm the only person in my family that doesn't have a divorce. Now I have a 15-year-old niece. She's obviously not divorced as well, but I'm the only guy the only person that doesn't have a divorce because I was never married. I mean,
Okay.
I hope you don't take it as an insult because it isn't, but uh, you have to be careful because if you're not careful,
You do.
you can mess up your life.
You do. And that's
And
what, yeah, I write about that.
so, yeah, people really need to be careful. People don't know themselves. This is basically one of the
Hmm.
reasons
Hmm.
I started the channel. One reason I'm having amazing people like you to be guests here, because you can share your story. You already know yourself. You're a finished product. But it's fair to say that when you were younger, you didn't know yourself as good as you do now.
Yes.
Mistakes were made. I was, I guess, somehow blessed. I always knew exactly my limitations, who I was, I was 15 when I knew what I was going to do for a living. If it was a job, I have almost 18 years work experience now.
Hmm. I love it.
So, yeah, this is the whole point, to show people about, knowing yourself. Felicity, I have a fourth question. I never put it in in the invitation because I
Okay.
wanted just to, burst. if you can give my audience one advice, my audience, mostly people that are either fresh out of high school, fresh out of college, just started a job, or sitting in there thinking, okay, is this job even for me? Am I doing the right thing? Where's my life going? If you can give my audience one advice, what will it be?
Follow your bliss. That's it. Joseph Campbell comes from Joseph Campbell, who helped who helped write, if I'm not mistaken, Star Wars, The Hero's Journey. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I
So
have
he,
only limited
yeah,
examples of Star Wars, but
yeah. Follow your bliss. Yes, yes. I think we have the tendency to just, fall into the system. We
yeah.
don't we don't have to. We could just follow our bliss. And I think that today's generation, the younger generations are doing that. They're doing that, which I, as a Gen Xer, did not just we were just raised differently.
Yep.
And so I
The world was different.
admire, yes, I admire the fact that they're doing life differently. They're waiting to get married, they're waiting to have children, kind of like we were talking about, they're discovering who they are, finding out what they like. Yes, doing life different. Good for them.
Because the world was different back then. I don't want to frighten you, but I'm sure you already know that you are preparing your kid for a world that's not going to exist when that kid is an adult. It's too dynamic. You can't stop that. It's just my father's father, my grandfather. He died in 1988, I think. But he told my father, make sure you do what you want, study what you want, work what you want, but make sure you know how to fix a TV. Because everybody has a TV in their home, so you're always gonna have a job. Well, I don't even know any people that are fixing TVs now. I don't even think that's a thing. You buy it, it works for you 5, 7, 8 years, then you throw it away and you get a new one and they're like absurdly cheap now. So, but he did what he did, thought it was the right thing back then.
Absolutely. Yes, we have become a disposable society. And I think it goes back to, good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Hard times will breed strong men. Strong men will breed good times. Good times will breed weak men. We've been in a season the past couple decades of good times. So now we need some hard times because we have some young men that need to become men and lead properly.
Honestly, that starts in the home. Yeah, the
It
world can
does.
change you, but that starts in the home. Uh,
Absolutely.
I remember my first plan that I had. It was right after high school. And I went to my parents and I said, okay, so now I'm not going to college. I was thinking about traveling Greece, Portugal, Latin America, everything. And my father looked at me and said, and with what money are you gonna do that?
You got it.
Well, I was thinking like, you guys. And the old man said, first of all, you're going to be a student. How you're going to do it is up to you. I don't care. Make sure you're there on September. And back then there was shared service centers, call centers. We had some of those, but it wasn't very popular. And my mom said, Junior, you like way too clumsy to be a construction worker, so make sure you're either a waiter or a bartender by the end of the month. So that's how I became a bartender and a student in the Danish college.
But you learn to
Oh
take care
yeah.
of yourself.
Oh no, they
That's
were
what we
going to
need.
throw me out. No, no,
Yeah.
I know. They were going to throw me out.
And that's the type of mom I am. And so you might get some backlash on this, but I'm a very old school mom. I have a 17-year-old son and I am preparing him for adulthood. And I'm like, I'm telling you, Doug, I'm not going to save you come January 3rd of 2026 because you are going to be 18. And yes, we had a phone call from the dean just a couple weeks ago, just stating we've got some, tardy issues. And I said, look, he's going to be 18 in a couple months. I'm I'm not saving him anymore. Doug or Evan, this is time for you to have consequences
Yeah.
and take accountability because it's only gonna, yes. Everybody a little bit of tough love, just a little bit.
Yeah, he gonna hate you a little bit, but I mean, in all fairness, every kid kind of hates its parents.
Hmm.
When it comes to that, it's just the way it is. So don't take it personally, don't take it to heart.
No, no, I don't. No, no.
Right on. And with that said, Felicity, please get all the links and send them here so that I can put in the description of the video so that the folks can see them.
Absolutely. This has been a pleasure. Thank you.
Likewise. Bye.
Bye.
Guys, I hope this one was useful. Please follow the channel on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Gap, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Ring the bell and all the good stuff. Have a nice week ahead, and I'll see you next Sunday.